Hello everyone and welcome back to my next single button build video. So today we're going to talk about the Frost Knight, which is currently the most popular DPS spec class in the game. If you look at meta sites, you can see that basically 17% of all mythic runs right now that is timed with a key has a Frost Knight, which is insane. The next spec class is like 9%. So Frost Knight is definitely one of the most, well, not the most popular DPS spec at the moment when it comes to mythic dungeons, for example. But basically, yeah, Frost Knight is popular, which is of course why so many of you have requested a single button build for Frost Knights. And I have finally made one, and it took me many hours because I had to do a lot of DPS testing, because normally it would be easy to take the meta builds and twist it a little bit. I couldn't do that because the meta builds, they all play with Breath of Sindragosa, and that doesn't work with the single button rotation because it doesn't keep it up for a very long time. So I had to find something else, and in the end I think I made a pretty good build. But if you're new to this channel, today we're going to talk about the intro, which is of course now. We're going to talk about the stats, the talents, the rotation, and the gameplay. Basically covering everything you need to know about the Frost Knight when you're playing with the single button rotation. And of course, we're trying to min-max the single button rotation, which means this video, of course, is not for all the pro players who are like esport legends. It's more like for the casuals, but still someone who wants to like enjoy maybe a few like mythic dungeons, raids, like, just like it's like a good all-around build. Like, honestly, it's a good all-around build. In case you want the same talent as me, or you even want the same UI as me, you can find it on my Discord here. You can see if you join my Discord, the link is in the description of the video. You will join the Discord. It looks like this, and in the bottom there's a room called Single Button Builds UI, and in there you will find one for each of the specs that I have made so far, where there will be a export code for the talent, for the UI, and of course the guide in there, or if there was like some macros maybe also. But yeah, you can go to the Discord and basically find everything over there if you need. But let's go into the video. So let's talk about stats. So first of all, of course, we always need strength. So on all your armor, for example, all the helmet, like all the normal armor you have on, and weapons, of course, needs to always have strength. Your rings and rings never have like major stats, well, not from what I know, but they always have like stamina and some second stats. Trinkets can have strength, but usually, it can also be various, whatever. But usually we need strength, and what I'm mainly trying to say with that is that in my recommendation for a casual player like me, and maybe you also casual, I would always say go with the highest eye level. It's safe, it gives us more stamina, it gives us more strength, which is basically all round the best stat that scales up with the damage. Basically, strength is just like Omega, so in my opinion, I would always say go with the highest eye level. Of course, then if you find an item that is, the same eye level, or, have the same track, like for example, a champion track item or something like that, then that's where you're going to look at the stats after that. So the first secondary stat is Mastery. Mastery is just the best for Frost Knights. Always try to get Mastery on your items. No matter what, we just want Mastery, Mastery, and more Mastery. And you're probably asking, why? So the thing is, Mastery is basically increasing all our Frost damage. So as you can see here, we have it here, Mastery. Increase the damage of your Frost abilities by 42%. Basically, all the damage spells we have deal frost damage, except Obliterate. And this build I have today for you is an Obliterate two-handed build. And now you might ask, but why do we need Mastery then? Because of the passive here called Killing Machine. All your auto attacks critical strikes have a chance to basically pop off Killing Machine, which would make Obliterate deal frost damage and critical strike. So you see that? It basically makes your Obliterate deal frost damage, which of course is going to take the bonus from our Mastery. So my Obliterate is going to deal 42% more damage. That is why Mastery is nice, because it basically increases damage of all those spells, even Obliterate, when of course only this killing machine is active. But we basically have talents down here, which is basically going to make it happen all the time. So yeah, that's why mastery is just the omega, because else it also increases damage of all our frost spells, which is just mwah. Then it comes to the next secondary stats, where normally in the meta it is recommended to have crit, which I understand, because the more crit you have, of course, the bigger chance all your spells is going to be dealing higher damage. It also increases the chance of auto attack crits, which of course is going to give us more killing machines passively. Also, the reason for why meta players they use crit is because you can see here that consuming a killing machine or rhyme increased the duration by 0.8 seconds on Breath of Zendikar. We don't play with Breath of Zendikar because the single button assistant is not able to play with it very good. Which of course makes sense why the meta players, they really want a lot of crit, because they want to make sure that they get all the auto attack crits as much as possible to make sure that Breath of Zendikar can be running up to 30-60 seconds. When we use the single button rotation, we are punished on this global cooldown. So basically every time you use a spell, it has like this loading time, which is called the global cooldown. When you use the single button assistant, you get 25% longer global cooldown, and having more haste decreases the overall global cooldown, which of course is going to make it better even for us who uses the single button assistant. It also of course increases the speed of your auto attacks, which of course also can make more possible chances of your auto attacks to do critical strike, if you know what I mean, because you're attacking faster with your weapon. It also increases the time of your runes to come back again, basically restoring your runes, which of course is also very nice for the single button assistant. So I'm just saying, single button assistant wise, haste is omega in my world, and of course if you follow the meta, you're going to be using crit, and so on. Then after haste and crit, you can see it basically just swaps. As you can see, both of them is very important, so they're both agreeing that my build is agreeing with the meta build, that we're basically just switching haste, crit, as you can see. Lastly, we have versatility, and the reason why versatility is the worst one is because, I mean, it's not like bad. It just flat out increases our damage. So you can see I got 23% versatility, which is just going to increase my damage flat out by 23, my healing by 23, and I'm going to take 11% less damage. So basically half of the versatility, I'm going to take less damage. It just scales more badly the more versatility you have compared to the other stats. So yeah, so that's the explanation of why the stats is looking like that for meta and why it looks like that for single button assistant. All right, time to talk about talents. So basically, what I wanted to do with this talent here is to create a really hard-hitting obliterate build, which is all about the single button assistant. If you look at all the meta builds, basically what they have done is they have removed these two here and they are running like this. This is most of the meta builds that looks like this, which is not good for the single button rotation, because the single button rotation doesn't like Breath of Zendikar. It uses it. It uses it fine, but the thing is, like Breath of Zendikar, if you want to play with that optimally, you're using spells that is going to increase the, like, you know, you're going to do like an order of cooldowns and spells, so that Breath of Zendikar is going to be there for like, you're going to try hold up plus 30 seconds. The problem with running the single button resistant is it doesn't use the spells in that order, so it will not keep it up for 30 seconds. It's basically going to waste it and only make it last for like 10 seconds, which is waste. Which is why I like to take these two talents away and basically giving us a free like extra damage from Howling Blast, also applying some Resurrises, and also giving our obliterate even more damage. This build here is what I would say you should usually play this build here with the two-hand weapon. You might be asking, why does that make a difference? Because we actually do have this passive here, where wielding a two-handed weapon increases the obliterate damage by 30, frost dive by 30, and you auto attack critical strikes always grant killing machine. And killing machine is one of our most important passives. So basically, every time your auto attacks critical strike have a chance to make your next operate deal frost damage and critical strike. So basically, it's going to do frost damage and it's going to crit. And if you remember why we wanted mastery, is because it basically increases all our frost damage. And of course, that means every time I have killing machine on, my operate is going to be doing frost damage, and it's going to be doing 42% more damage because of my mastery. So that basically means, because of this passive here, we have our killing machine is not only going to have a chance to come from critical strike from auto attacks, it's going to come always. It's always going to be, every time we crit with an auto attack, like normal auto attack when you're just beating, it's always going to give us killing machine, which is very nice. Also, it's going to increase the damage of our operate by 30% because we are using a two-hand weapon, which is why I like this build here, because it has like insane high burst from operate because it deals 30% more damage because we have a two-hand weapon. If you really want to use dual wielding because you have like a class fantasy that you really want two swords on your back, you should be using this build instead here, which is the build that is coming from Wowhead. It's called like the Shattering build because we have like Shattering Blade and Frostbane. This is the build here you should be playing if you want to use dual wield with Rite of Apocalypse. But yeah, basically this is the dual wielding the build. But again, personally, if you want to play with the single button rotation, I would highly recommend using two-hand weapon and using this build here. So why is this build good? I have done a lot of testing with the meta build. Keep in mind, all my test with these builds is using single button assistant. So I have done a lot of tests with the single button assistant, with the meta builds, with the dual wield build, and my own build. And every time my own build always had the highest output damage on 30 to 60 seconds. I did like a 30-second test, I did a 60-second test, and my build always won. Maybe it's going to be different when you test it or whatever, but for my test, it was always this build here that somehow won. So let's talk about this build. First of all, we have Deathbringer here. Of course, Deathbringer is giving us a spell called Reaper's Mark. Don't worry, you have to use it actively. It will automatically be used by our single button assistants. So don't think about it. Basically, it deals a lot of damage, 300k damage, and it applies a mark on the enemy. Every time it deals shadow damage or frost damage, it increases the stacks on that mark. And when it hits 40 stacks, it basically explode for insane amount of damage. So basically, every of these stacks deal 40k. So you can imagine 40 times 40k. That's a lot of damage. Then we have the one in the bottom here, Exterminate, and basically what happens is that after it explodes, the next two operates you're using only cost 1 rune, or the next two scythe, which is this one here, the Frost Scythe. Frost Scythes over here. Basically, they will only cost 1 rune, and they will summon a scythe to attack with you. Basically, the first scythe is going to deal 500k damage directly to the target. Like, you know, when you use obliterate, it's gonna deal 500k to the target on you in front of you. Well, the target you have clicked on, 500k Shadow Frost damage, and has a 100% chance to grant you a killing machine, which is nice because, you know, we like killing machine. It basically makes our next operate into a frost spell, and it makes it deal always critical strike, and it makes it deal more damage because of our mastery. Nice. The next scythe so next time you use operate, which of course is going to be affected by killing machine now, is going to summon another scythe, which is basically striking all enemies around your target for 250k Shadow Frost damage, and applies Frost Favor to all the targets. So Frost Favor is our debuff that comes from Howling Blast. Yeah, basically, that's it. So that's why we're using Deathbringer here, and all of this is inside the single button rotation, so you don't have to worry about that. Next off, I have taken everything that is basically increasing our operate. So of course we have operate, we have killing machine, which we have talked a lot about, that every time we are, our auto attacks are critical striking, only when you have a two-hand weapon. If you don't have a two-hand weapon, dual wield, it only has a chance to do this. But with us who use two-hand weapons, it always gives us killing machine whenever auto attack is basically critting. And again, this effect both happens to obliterate, so basically obliterate now deals frost damage and is a critical strike, or make your next frost scythe, which is over here, frost scythe, critical strike for 3 times the normal damage. Though, when you go to Frost Scythe here, it actually says consume killing machine to have its critical strike deal 4 times the normal damage. So here it says 3 times, here it says 4 times. So I believe I'm gonna believe on this one here that it's gonna deal 4 times, which of course is very nice. Yeah. And normally playing Frost Death Knight was actually a little pain in the butt because you have to keep using either Obliterate or you have to keep using Frost Scythe. You have to like keep like you need to all the time like balance between when should I use Obliterate, when should I use Frost Scythe. Frost Scythe is basically a spell you want to use when there's a lot of mobs, like trash mobs, LE. But Obliterate is the one you want to use when there's like 1 or 2 targets. But now, both of them is inside a single button rotation, which means we don't have to think about when to use which one. Which was the biggest struggle for me playing a Frost Death Knight, and now that this is gone, it actually is way more tempting for me to play a Frost Death Knight. Beside of this, we have Killing Machine. Well, sorry, I already said that. We have an Inexorable Assault, which is basically giving us a stack every 4 seconds, which is going to increase our damage of Operate or Frost Scythe. It even stacks off when you're not in combat, so you can see now already I have 5 stacks, and it's ready to increase the damage of my Operate or Frost Scythe by 100k, which is very nice. And of course it also increases the stacks all the time in combat. So it's basically just like even more damage to Operate. Woohoo! Then we also have Frost Reaper, which is basically every time you use Operate deals 10% increased damage and has a chance to tether the soul of its target and a nearby enemy to yours. So basically, it's going to tether the soul of your target and a nearby enemy to yours. So basically, if you try attack a dummy, you will sometimes see that there's like this link between you and your enemy, kind of like you're tethering, yeah, your souls are like connected. But then Frost Strike is basically breaking this tether, like this connection, and it deals 280k frost damage to both foes, which is insane because normally Frost Strike only deals 180k damage, but now it basically deals an additionally 285k Shadow Frost damage. Pretty nice, right? So pretty cool. But again, this is also passively just inside our rotation, and you don't even have to worry about it. Besides that, we have Obliteration. This one used to like be a manual spell you had to use in old days, but now it's like a passive one. They did change that like long time ago, but still funny to mention. So basically during Pillar of Frost, which is basically one of our cooldowns here, Pillar of Frost there. And again, that one is also automatically used inside the single button rotation. So you don't have to think about that one as well. So basically during Pillar of Frost, Frost Strike, Glacial Advance and Holding Blast always grant Killing Machine and have a 20% chance to generate a rune. So basically inside this Pillar of Frost, these 12 seconds, you will keep getting tons of killing machines. Like, because every time you use Frost Strike, Glacial Advance, or Holding Blast, which automatically is going to be used from your single button rotation, it's just going to give you tons of killing machines, which you're just going to spam with Obliterate, which means Obliterate would always deal crit damage, will always be frost damage, and yeah, what's not to like? Additionally, during Pile of Frost, Empower Rune Weapon cause your next Operate or Frost Scythe to cost no runes. So basically, while Pile of Frost is active, Empower Rune Weapon is basically going to make that, what is it saying? Next Operate or Frost Scythe cost no runes. So you only got 6 runes, and Operate costs 2 runes, which means you can only use it 3 times. But now, by using Empower Rune Weapon, it's free, and it has 2 charges, so basically you get 2 of them for free, which is very nice. And you don't have to use Empower Rune Weapon, because that is also inside our single button rotation. Very nice. Beside of that, we also have Killing Streak. Obliterate and Frost Scythe consume all killing machines to deal 25% increased critical strike damage. Very nice. and grant 2% haste for 8 seconds for each stack consumed. Multiple applications may overlap. So basically, by consuming a lot of killing machines, especially from obliteration, we get more haste. What's not to like? And also it's going to deal increased critical strike damage, which is very nice since obliterate is going to be 100% critical strike from killing machine. So you can see this entire flow here is just increasing our obliterate and crit damage and just the entire flow so smoothly. We also have, again, keep in mind, we have Frost Scythe, which is of course a spell it will automatically use when there's a lot of targets. We also have Biting Cold. Remorseless Winter damage is increased by 35. The first time Remorseless Winter deals damage to 3 different enemies, you gain Rime. What is Rime? Rime is a passive spell we have. Frost Strike and Glacial Advance have a 60% chance to cause your next Howling Blast to consume no runes and deal 350% additional damage. So basically your next Howling Blast is going to be insane. Beside of that, we also have Howling Blast now hits an additional target with maximum effectiveness, and Rime increase Howling Blast damage done by additional 75%. So overall, this talent here, like we don't have to go through all of them. Actually, I forgot to talk about this one here, Enduring Strength. This one is actually quite important. When Pile of Frost expires, your strength is increased by 8. So keep in mind, when you use Pile of Frost, it increases your strength by 30, which is very nice. But when it's done, it will now increase your strength by 8% for 6 seconds. But this effect lasts 2 seconds longer, up to 20 for each Obliterate and Frost Scythe critical strike during Pillar of Frost. You see that? So all the crits you do inside Pile of Frost is going to get stacked over to make this effect go longer. So that basically means your Pile of Frost could be on for 12 seconds, but this little extra bonus could be on for 20 seconds if you do a lot of crits, which you should be doing because we have this one here over here. So very nice, like kind of like a little nice synergy. But beside of that, everything else we have here is basically a lot of passives, which is just we could read it all, like trust me, we could read it all, but it's basically just like this one here. Consume killing machine fires a glacial advances through your target, 60% effectiveness. Consuming killing machine effect has 20% chance to grant you 1 rune. It's basically, it's just like, this empowers this empowers that, this is powered this. This is empowering your auto-attack critical strike, have a chance to send out Torrent of Ice, dealing 140k frost damage enemies in front of you. And while Pile of Frost is active, your auto-attack critical strike increase its duration by 2% to a maximum of 6 seconds. Like, all of this is nice to know, but it just makes everything better. For example, this one is fun as well. It basically removes your Remorseless Winter, so you don't have to use it actively. But it basically becomes a buff that will automatically get active from Pile of Frost, and also it lasts 4 seconds longer. All of this is just like passives that's just going to make your build feel so much better, because the only active spells we're picking is like Empower Rune Weapon, Frost Strike, Obliterate, Howling Blast. I think that's basically then Pile of Frost and Frost Scythe, of course. But everything else is just passives, which just basically makes our single button rotation better. And you don't have to worry about any of this. Like, and the only reason I'm telling you about this is to make you understand what's happening in the background. But beside of that, you actually don't have to understand this. You just have to press 1 and it will automatically use all this function automatically, which I like. I love this. And it will automatically use Deathbringer. And then of course we come back to our normal talent tree. The normal talent tree is not that important when it comes to damage, because not much of this is actually going to increase our damage in the end. It's basically like, you have one more utility, you take less damage, you take like, when you get below 30% health, you drain a lot of healing and you get self-heal. Increase the Lich Spawn duration, increase Leech, which is self-healing. It's a lot of like passive stuff that just makes the entire workflow better. Though, this one here, consuming a rune has a chance to increase your strength by 6 seconds for 8 seconds. 6% for 8 seconds, which of course is very nice. But again, reduce damage, anti-magic shield, reduce damage, absorb more, absorb shield, move faster. We're not using Soul Reaper. No one is really using that anymore. But basically, none of this is like, of course, increasing your haste by 2%, crowd control, giving you shield from, giving you more HP, and yeah, this one of course is very nice. Which might be the only reason we technically have, because normally you could maybe don't take raise stat. But the thing with taking raise stat is basically it gives us cleaving strike, where frost type deals 20% increased damage during remorseless winter, and we only get remorseless winter when we are inside pile of frost. So the only reason I think we are taking raise stat is because we want this one here, because raise stat doesn't actually do much damage. It does almost no damage, but yeah. So mostly over here, it's just utilities. I have taken whatever I feel is like the best utilities to take. If you don't want Ref Walk and you want to have one less ability to use, you could take Grip of Death instead, for example. If you don't want Anti-Magic Shield, you could also take extra stun. It's kind of like up to you what utilities you have. But for damage wise, you need the haste buff, you need the cleaving strike, you need the Rune of Mastery. Icy Talent is also good, of course. I think that's it. Yeah, that's probably most of it. And of course, Mind Freeze to interrupt, to help your team with interrupting. But yeah, that's the talent. I hope I kind of made it clear on how our talents works and how all of this is just going together to make a really, really cool two-handed operate build. Yeah, let's go to rotation. So when it comes to rotation, I haven't actually talked about that. My advice for you when you're choosing an enchant for your weapon is I would go with Rune of the Fallen Crusader. Basically, engrave your weapon with a rune that has a chance to heal you for 4% of your maximum health and increase your total strength for 18% for 15 seconds. Like 18% more strength is insane. I feel like nothing else comes close to. Of course, if you're a tank, you're going to use Stone Skin Gargoyle. But for example, Razorize here, increase your weapon with rune costs 825 extra weapon damage as Frost and increase enemies' vulnerabilities. This has only like a chance, like it's like it's okay, but I'm pretty sure everyone is basically using Fallen Crusader at this point. So, regarding rotation, by the way, just so you know, again, if you want my talent, if you want my UI, you will find it on the Discord. I'm not trying to promote my Discord, I'm just trying to make everyone's life easier by showing where you can find the talent and the UI. I don't want to post it in the YouTube comment because I have to keep updating these talents because Blizzard is changing stuff all the time and I can't keep them updated on my YouTube video. It's easier to just keep them updated in my Discord. So it's always the newest talent in there. Rotation wise, basically what you're doing is, again, you're just pressing 1. It's way more simpler than my healing guides, my tank guides. You basically just press 1. So when you start pressing 1, it's going to use spells like Empower Rune Weapon, Frost Strike, Frost Scythe, Frozen Dominion, which is of course a passive one. It's because this one used to be like Remorseless Winter. Glacial Advance, Howling Blast, Operate, Perla Frost, and Reaper Spark. All this happens automatically, as I've already said. But basically, if we move this up here, like this, let's try spam 1 and see what happens. So now you can see we're kind of starting. As you can see, we're doing a lot of operate damage. We have some Wave of Souls, we have Frost Strike, Howling Blast, and now Reaper Mark came on, and it deals a lot of damage from the moment it exploded. Now we have Exterminate. So everything goes out very smoothly, deals a lot of damage. And as you can see, our Operate is definitely the key to our damage. Like, Operate is just such a strong spell, especially when we have Killing Machine on. So as you can see here, we have now, there used to be like a timer up here. Oh, there we go. We have now dealt damage for 40 seconds, and we have dealt 35 million damage to a single target. Keep in mind, my gear sucks on this Death Knight here, but I have played so much Death Knight through Season 1 and Season 2, so I know what I'm talking about. I'm very experienced Frost Death Knight player, so don't worry. I just haven't had the chance to gear this guy up yet because I keep playing on so many characters. So that's basically the rotation. You press 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and it will automatically do everything it can to do most damage. It's gonna go through your damage. Like, that's the cool thing. You don't even have to use your damage cooldowns like in Power Room Weapon and Pile of Frost or Reaper's Mark. It does it all for you, so you don't have to worry about it. So basically, what could you do when you're damaging? What else could you do? You could summon your raised dev. Basically what happens is when you follow your rotation, you can press 2 and then you summon your goal. It deals like 10, 20k damage all the time. Nothing big, just like, 10k, 20k, just small extra damage. It's nice. It's like, it's okay. It's fine. Like, if we open up the damage meter here, there, recent goal, 320k damage. It's not much, but it's something. So whenever you feel like throw that cooldown, technically you could be using it all the time if you wanted, just like use it all the time. Then we also have Mind Freeze, which is basically our interrupt spell. Keep in mind, as a DPS, one of your most important roles is to interrupt. Yes, I know, some healers also have it, all tanks also have it, but still, as a DPS, it's really your goal to try make as much like interrupts as possible. Like, you really want to make interrupts. So every time you can see that the mob or the mobs or the boss is like throwing something that you can see is actually interruptible, you use your free and interrupt. And trust me, your party is gonna love you if you actually handle interrupts very well. Beside of that, we also have Blinding Sleet, which is basically blinding your target, so it starts like walking around like in a circle, and if you attack it, it comes out of it. You might be asking, why do we need to blind them in combat? Imagine all these 5 in front of me were casting like a chaos bolt against me. If I then use Blinding Sleet, it would blind them all, and they would stop casting their spell. It is so powerful in Mythic Dungeons, for example, or a raid against trash mobs, where you're just basically stopping them all for casting. So you have your single interrupt, and you have your mass interrupt. Keep in mind, this doesn't work on bosses. This only really works on like trash mobs. The bosses, he would just be like, what is this? In case you need self-healing and your tank, like your healer, is busy, because of course this build here has a lot of like whatever we call like energy, and of course you can use it on death strikes, runic power, which is gonna heal you quite a lot. Like, you can see, like it basically healed me like for, I don't know, was that like 1 million healing? I think it was 1 million healing. Yeah, 1 million healing. So in case you're getting like taking a lot of damage and your healer is busy with keeping everyone else alive, help him out and throw a few death strikes manually. That's basically your self-healing. And also, if you're gonna play this build solo in Delves, this is gonna be the one that's gonna make you survive, which is very nice. Then we also have Death Advance. For 10 seconds, your movement speed is increased by 35%. You cannot get below 100% of your normal speed, and you are immune, basically immune for movement effects and knockbacks. So when you activate Death Advance, basically for 10 seconds you run faster, you're not able to get below 100%, and if you have one of those bosses where he keeps pushing everyone like with wind, where it automatically gets like this way back, it's basically ignoring it. You just stand still. So for example, against Dementias in the raid, when he does this pushing thing where everyone is like gets pushed, or even the Forge Weaver in there, you just ignore it with using this one here. It is so overpowered. And so many Death Knights, they don't really know what it does, this spell here, so they just ignore it. Which is why we're going to have 2 of them from this talent here, because it's such an important talent. Yeah, that's basically the spells I have down here. Then we have the next row. We of course have Death Grip, in case let's say the tank is standing here, and you have the boss here, and the tank is standing there, and then one of the trash mobs runs over to the healer. You could save the healer by clicking on the trash mob and then using your grip, Basically what it would do is it would grip it over to the tank, and the tank has a better chance of taking them up, because if you stand close to the tank, all his AoE is basically going to happen on that mob. Just keep in mind when you use it, it's basically going to taunt it as well, so the mob is going to attack you for some time. So you might be taking a lot of extra damage when this happens. We also have anti-magic shell, which is basically a spell that's going to absorb all magic damage. Surround you with anti-magic shell for 7 seconds, absorb 4.2 million magic damage, and preventing applications of harmful magic effects on you. So basically you cannot take basically magic effects is going to be reduced. Like if they try cast a curse on you, it won't happen. Damage absorbed generate runic power. So as well you get runic power, which you're using, for example, to cast Frost Strike and Death Strike. So whenever you actually, if you know the boss is about to cast a big AoE spell, magic damage to everyone, use your anti-magic shell, because it's both going to reduce the damage you take, but it's also giving you power, runic power, so you can actually use more damage spells, which is quite nice. Then we also have Wrath Walk, which is basically this one here. Kind of reminds me of one of the spells from Heroes of the Storm, I just can't remember which one. But it embraces the power of the Shadowlands, removing all root effects and increasing your movement speed by 70% for 4 seconds. And if you use any spells, it basically cancels it. And while active, your movement speed cannot get below 170%, which is quite nice. Not everyone is playing with this one here. A lot of people is also, for example, taking off this one here and maybe taking a stun or, whatever you wanted. Like Death Advance grants you 25% additional movement speed for the first 3 seconds could also be something. Yeah, it kind of it comes up to you, whatever you would else prefer. You could take so many things, but the problem is, if you remove Wrath Walk, you will see you won't be able to get all these defensives down here, which basically means you would have to pick this one here instead. So I think your only choice would be that when you take off Wrath Walk, you can only pretty much choose between Grip of Death or Soul Reaper, but I can't really recommend Soul Reaper, so I would just, it's up to you. Wrath Walk or Grip of Death. So, but I was just gonna go with Wrath Walk, because it's still a nice spell that can kind of get you out of bad situations. Like one of those bosses where they push you. Then we have Lichborn, a very, very nice spell. Draw upon the unholy energy to become an undead for 12 seconds, increasing leech by 6 and reducing damage taken by 15, and making you immune to charm, fear, and sleep. So basically, if you know someone is going to be fearing you, you can use your Lichborn. And also, it's going to give you, right now, because of our talents, we have a leech on 3%, which is this one here. But when I use this one here, then, Lichborn, we're going to be having 9%. So basically 9% of all the damage you do now is going to be self-healed back to you. Which is pretty nice. It helps the healer, you take less damage because it also reduces the damage you take, and so on, so on, so on. So yeah, overall, pretty nice little cooldown. We also have Icebound Fortitude, which basically your blood freezes, granting you immunity to stun effects and reducing all damage you take by 30% for 8 seconds. So another one you could use. You can technically macro Lichborn and Icebound together so that you have super duper defensive cooldown. But it's nice to sometimes use only Lichborn, survive, and then 20 seconds later use Icebound. So if possible, I would not recommend combining them, but you could if you just really want to play on a controller and has less abilities at all. We also have Anti-Magic Zone, which basically you make this zone here on the ground, and what just basically happens is that everyone inside it is going to take damage taken, reducing the magic damage taken by 15% for party or raid members. Yeah, so you just take less magic damage. Again, if the boss is about to make some kind of big spell where everyone is going to take damage, where you have to soak or something, you can really save the healers by casting Anti-Magic Zone. For example, when Dementius, when he's on phase 1, where he's want to make everyone soak, we have to stand inside that purple thing. You could use it on the purple thing and basically help the healers so much. We also have Chains of Ice. Basically, it just makes them run 70% slower. Nothing big. And the one everyone is going to love if you actually use is the Raise Ally. Basically, it costs 30 runic power, it has a 10-minute cooldown, and you're gonna rest one of your deaf allies. So imagine you are in a dungeon or raid, someone dies, you can bring them back to life in combat with a 10-minute cooldown. Keep in mind, it has a shared cooldown with the other classes who has it. So paladins, druids, warlocks can also combat rest. And basically, if some of them use it as, your cooldown is also going to get activated. In a raid, I think you have like on bosses 2 or 3 combat rests, so it will have like, you know, again, if other classes make use it will also activate the cooldown for you. So sometimes I've seen people say, oh, I don't understand, it keeps going on cooldown, I haven't even used it. That's because the other paladin, death knight, whoever in your group just used it, and it kind of shares the cooldown. But that's pretty much the rotation. You press 1, sometimes 2 for extra damage, 3 and 4 for interrupts, 5 for 6 for self-heal, 6 and E, basically for like moving faster and don't get pushed out, Q for getting an absorb shield but also giving you more runic power if a magic damage is about to happen, R and F for like self, like defensives, and your S1 here, anti-magic zone for like, you know, defensive for everyone, and some slowness and some ratio allies. Yeah, that's basically it. But else, you just, you know, whenever you go into a dungeon, whatever you do, whatever, you just press 1 and keep an eye out for your cooldowns. And yeah, I honestly find this super fun to play. So, but let's go over to the gameplay video now. It's the only step we are missing so far. So we should be skipping over to the gameplay part where we're gonna. I'm just gonna show you a normal dungeon where I'm gonna run through it. I'm just gonna show you how I would play it. Again, if you want the talents I have or the UI, you will find it on my Discord, where I have a room for each spec. Just letting you know. So let's jump to the gameplay. So here we go. Let's catch up with using our E to our team. And let's start spamming some 1. Oh, we have a Frost Mage who does a lot of damage. I wonder how good he is. Oh. Kind of like me. But yeah, so far let's summon our goal and let's press some 1. A good second damage. Take flight. Which one are we gonna go first? This one. As we can see, some good damage going out. Don't think the mage had the time to get over here. Oh, what is other shit up there? Basically, when we get out, pressing 1, selecting the main target. Oh, we have a lot of people dying. How did they manage to start the boss without? Wait, I have never tried that before. How did they manage to start? That must be a bug. Because that effect, which is gonna explode us, is only when the boss is there, and we were not finished doing this. Because now it makes sense, because now she's there, but normally that wouldn't make sense. So we're gonna summon our goal, just for the extra 1% damage. And then we're just spamming 1. Okay, and now we have to fly away, because I need to go out and get one of those orbs so I don't die. There we go. Back again. I'm pressing more one. 1, 1, 1. Putting on a Reaper mark. Please. We need to get that debuff off. There we go. And we're good. And she died. We should be strong enough to just go down and take the boss, but I'll guess we have to see where the tanky wants to go.
Find and defeat them, or we will have to face that commander at full.
Oh, he's actually doing it that way, okay. But yeah, as you can see, I mean, a lot of people are saying, "Why, just not having fun? You're just pressing one." Honestly, I find it fun to just like have a good time. I don't have to worry about if I'm doing a good rotation or anything. That's usually one of my problems normally. I'm like, oh, am I using my spells in the right order? What if I'm not doing it right? But now I'm basically just pressing one and making sure that all my utilities and everything else I use is in the right order. Just putting down single bottom as well here so I can very fast dismount. Because I have always had the problem where I don't really know which spell to use when single target and AoE, you know, I don't know like when I should switch between them. But with this flow here, it automatically switches between Obliterate and Frost Scythe, so you don't have to worry about it. But as you can see, I'm just pressing one, we're doing quite good damage down there. If I told them I was using the single button, they would probably... Some of them is probably gonna yell at me, because, you know, some people, they just don't like it. But I mean, look at the damage, I'm doing good. Let's summon the goal, just to get a bit extra damage. And let's spam some 1. 1, 1. Oh, okay, this time I didn't do it well. I guess it's because, see, that's of course one of the bad things sometimes with single button rotation, is that it can use all your cooldowns on trash mobs just before the boss. You cannot really control that. Then of course we had the hunter who had saved all his cooldowns for the boss. This time here you can see my cooldowns was ready and I was number 1 damage dealer. This boss here is not really about how much damage you do, it's more like helping. So whenever they summon those barrels, it's... So again, like, look at this. I can just press 1 and I can look around to make sure that all the mechanics is used in the right order. So for example now I can go to this, throw the barrel on him. The mage is not helping with the barrel, which is a shame, so I guess I have to do it. And now we can fly down to the boss. There we go. There we go. Gotta remember where I have to fly to. We're just gonna do this cheat trick. Some people, they still follow the boss, but you don't have to do that because there is one guy over here who is basically just giving you the same buff, this guy here. See, you just have to stand close to this. Then you don't have to worry about anything. So you didn't know this, do that next time, just fly to this guy here. But you have to do fast. There, yes. Casters can of course already kinda start casting on him now. I have to wait till he actually comes down here. Summon goal. Start spamming. That's it. That's basically it. This build, amazing damage, it's super fun, it gives you so much. Like, you can just walk, you can watch around, you can help with mechanics, you can help with just it just gives you such a great overview of the dungeon while you're playing, because you don't have to worry about pressing 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, if you know what I mean. It's just, it makes everything so goddamn smooth. And ignore the haters, ignore the people who doesn't like single button rotation. If you find it funny, go with it. Use it for dungeons, use it for mythic, use it for raid, do whatever you want, and just get better gear. Like, the gear is gonna do so much for you. So again, this is my build, this is my UI. If you want any of it, you can go to my Discord, where there's gonna be a room called Frost Night, where you can get all the stuff. But yeah, that's the guide. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments which one you're looking forward to next time. Is it Feral Druid? Is it Arcane Mage? Survival Hunter? Let me know. But else, thank you so much for the support. I really love seeing all the people enjoying these builds. It's super fun to make because I see so many people watching them, which is a blast for me. So yeah, thanks for the huge support. I really appreciate that. So yeah, I'll see you in the next guide.